Maya Brooks thought she was meeting a loan shark about her debt, but when she walked into that upscale restaurant, she had no idea she was about to make a deal with the devil himself. Luca Romano, the city's most feared mafia boss, didn't want her money. He wanted her. One desperate mother, one dangerous man, and a debt that would cost far more than she ever imagined paying. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Sometimes the person who destroys your old life is the same person who gives you a reason to live again. What started as blackmail became protection. What began as fear transformed into something neither of them could control. And what should have been one night changed everything forever. The most dangerous game in the city was about to begin, and Maya had no idea she was already 3 moves behind. Subscribe and tell me where you're watching from, because this story is about to prove that sometimes falling for the wrong man is the most right thing you'll ever do. The alarm clock screamed at 5:30 a.m., just like it did every morning. Maya Brooks rolled over and slapped the snooze button with more force than necessary. Her small apartment felt cold. The heating bill was 3 months behind, and winter wasn't giving up without a fight. "Mommy!" Ella's soft voice drifted from the bedroom doorway. Maya's heart clenched. Her 7-year-old daughter stood there in her favorite pink pajamas, the ones with tiny holes near the knees. Ella's dark hair stuck up in wild directions, and her big brown eyes looked tired. Too tired for a little girl. "Hey, baby." Maya sat up and opened her arms. Ella climbed into bed and curled against her mother's side. "How are you feeling today?" Ella didn't answer. She hadn't spoken much in the past 6 months. Not since the divorce. Not since her father walked out and never looked back. The doctors said it was selective mutism. Stress, they explained. Time would help, they promised. But time cost money, and money was something Maya didn't have. Maya felt Ella's forehead. Warm, but not burning. Still, worry twisted in her stomach like a knife. Ella had been sick on and off for weeks. Every doctor's visit meant another bill. Every bill meant another sleepless night of wondering how to pay for it all. "Let's get you some breakfast," Maya whispered. The kitchen was barely big enough for 2 people. Maya opened the refrigerator and stared at nearly empty shelves. A half-gallon of milk, some leftover mac and cheese, a few slices of bread that were starting to go stale. She made Ella toast with the last of the jam and poured a small glass of milk. Her own stomach rumbled, but she ignored it. Ella needed to eat first. Ella always came first. "Mommy, are you okay?" Ella's voice was barely a whisper. Maya forced a smile. "I'm perfect, sweetheart. Eat up." The phone rang as Ella picked at her toast. Maya's hands shook as she looked at the caller ID. St. Mary's Hospital, the same number that had been calling for weeks. "Hello?" Maya answered, stepping into the living room. "Ms. Brooks, this is Jennifer from the billing department at St. Mary's. I'm calling about your daughter's recent emergency room visit." Maya's chest tightened. "I told you, I'm working on it. I just need more time. I understand this is difficult, but the balance is now over $8,000. We need payment by the end of the week, or we'll have to send your account to collections." $8,000. Maya might as well have been told she needed $8 million. She worked 2 jobs and could barely afford groceries. "Please," Maya's voice cracked. "My daughter is sick. I'm doing everything I can." "I'm sorry, Ms. Brooks. End of the week. That's Friday." The line went dead. Maya stared at the phone, her hands trembling. Friday was 3 days away. She walked back to the kitchen on unsteady legs. Ella was pushing her toast around on the plate, eating tiny bites. Maya sat down and watched her daughter, feeling like the worst mother in the world. How could she explain that Mommy couldn't pay the doctors? How could she tell a 7-year-old that they might lose their home? "I have to go to work early today," Maya said gently. "Mrs. Peterson will walk you to school, okay?" Ella nodded. She trusted Maya completely, and that trust felt like a weight Maya could barely carry. The Sunrise Diner smelled like coffee and bacon grease. Maya had been working there for 2 years, ever since the divorce. The pay wasn't much, but the tips helped. Sometimes. "You look terrible," said Rosa, the other morning waitress. Rosa was 50-something with gray hair and kind eyes. She'd taken Maya under her wing from day one. "Thanks," Maya muttered, tying her apron around her waist. "I'm serious, honey. When's the last time you slept?" Maya couldn't remember. Between her job at the diner and her evening job cleaning offices, sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford. "I'm fine. You're not fine. You're running yourself into the ground." Maya grabbed her order pad and pen. "I don't have a choice." The morning rush was busy but not crazy. Maya moved through her tables on autopilot, refilling coffee cups and taking orders. Her mind was stuck on that phone call. $8,000, 3 days. Around 10 a.m. during a brief lull, Maya felt her phone buzz. A text from an unknown number. "Meet me tonight, 8 p.m. Delacroix. Restaurant. Come alone. We need to discuss your debt." Maya's blood turned to ice. She'd borrowed money from a guy named Tony 6 months ago when Ella first got sick. Tony wasn't a bank. He was the kind of man who made loans when banks wouldn't, the kind of man who expected his money back with interest. Maya had been avoiding his calls for weeks. She'd hoped he would give her more time. Apparently, hope wasn't enough. Her hands shook as she typed back, "Who is this?" The response came immediately. "A friend of Tony's. Be there." Rosa appeared at Maya's elbow. "You okay, sweetie? You look like you saw a ghost." Maya shoved the phone into her pocket. "I'm fine." But she wasn't fine. She was drowning, and the water was getting deeper by the hour. That evening, Maya stood outside Mrs. Peterson's apartment door, trying to work up the courage to knock. Mrs. Peterson was 70 years old and lived across the hall. She'd always been kind to Ella, but Maya hated asking for favors. "Mommy?" Ella held Maya's hand tightly. "Where are you going?" "Just a quick meeting, baby. I'll be back soon." Mrs. Peterson answered the door with a warm smile. Come in, come in. Ella can help me make cookies." Ella looked up at Maya with worried eyes. She always seemed to sense when something was wrong. Maya knelt down to her daughter's level. "I'll be back before bedtime," Maya promised. "Be good for Mrs. Peterson." Ella nodded and threw her arms around Maya's neck. "I love you, Mommy. I love you too, sweetheart. So much." Maya kissed Ella's forehead and stood up. Mrs. Peterson gave her a knowing look. "Everything all right, dear?" "Just some business to take care of," Maya said. "Thank you for watching her." "Anytime." Maya left before she could change her mind. The subway ride to the fancy part of town felt like traveling to another planet. She'd looked up Delacroix Restaurant online. It was the kind of place where appetizers cost more than Maya made in a day. She felt completely out of place as she walked through the front doors. The hostess looked her up and down with barely disguised disgust. Maya was wearing her best dress, but it was 3 years old and showed its age. "I'm here to meet someone," Maya said, "at 8 o'clock. "Name?" Maya realized she had no idea who she was meeting. I'm not sure. Someone sent me a message to be here." The hostess rolled her eyes. "Follow me." They walked through the main dining room, past tables full of people in expensive clothes eating expensive food. Maya felt like everyone was staring at her. Her cheeks burned with embarrassment. The hostess led her to a private room in the back of the restaurant. She knocked once, then opened the door. "Your guest is here." Maya stepped inside and the door closed behind her with a soft click. The room was dimly lit with candles on the table. A man sat at the far end, mostly hidden in shadows. "Sit down," he said. His voice was deep and calm. Maya couldn't see his face clearly, but something about his presence made her nervous. She sat in the chair across from him, her purse clutched in her lap like a shield. "You're Maya Brooks." It wasn't a question. Maya nodded anyway. The man leaned forward slightly, and the candlelight caught his features. Maya's breath caught in her throat. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe mid-30s. Dark hair, olive skin, sharp cheekbones. His eyes were the deepest brown she'd ever seen, but they were cold, so cold. "I'm Luca Romano," he said. The name hit Maya like a punch to the stomach. Everyone in the city knew that name, even people like Maya who tried to stay out of trouble. Luca Romano was connected, dangerous, the kind of man you cross the street to avoid. "I don't understand," Maya whispered. "Tony said, Tony works for me now." Luca's voice was matter of fact. "Your debt belongs to me." Maya's hands started shaking. "I can pay it back. I just need more time." "How much more time?" I don't know. A few months? I'm working 2 jobs, I swear. I'll get the money." Luca studied her for a long moment. His gaze was intense, like he could see right through her. Maya felt exposed, vulnerable. "You borrowed $15,000, he said finally. Maya nodded. It had seemed like so much money at the time, enough to pay for Ella's hospital stay and maybe get ahead on some bills. Now it felt like a mountain she could never climb. "With interest, you now owe $25,000. The number hit Maya like a slap. She couldn't breathe. $25,000. She could work for 5 years and not save that much. "I can't," she whispered. "I don't have that kind of money." "I know." Luca leaned back in his chair, still watching her with those cold, dark eyes. Maya felt like a mouse being studied by a cat. "Tell me about your daughter." Maya's heart stopped. "What?" "Ella. 7 years old. Selective mutism. Recent divorce." Fear flooded through Maya's body like ice water. "How do you know about her?" "I know everything about you, Maya. Your address, your jobs, your ex-husband who walked out and left you with nothing, your daughter who hasn't spoken a full sentence in 6 months. Maya's hands clenched into fists. "If you hurt her, I don't hurt children." Luca's voice was flat, emotionless. "But you have a problem, a debt you can't pay. And I have a solution." Maya didn't want to hear his solution, but she knew she had no choice. There's a charity gala next Friday night, Luca continued. Important people, business associates. I need a date. Maya stared at him. What? You'll accompany me to the gala. Smile, look pretty, play the part of my girlfriend for one evening. That's it? Maya couldn't believe it was that simple. That's it. One night, and your debt is forgiven. It sounded too good to be true. Maya had learned the hard way that things that sounded too good to be true usually were. Why me? She asked. You're perfect for what I need. Beautiful but not threatening. Poor enough to be grateful. Desperate enough to agree. His words stung, but Maya couldn't deny they were true. She was desperate. More desperate than she'd ever been in her life. I don't understand. You could have any woman in the city. Why would you want me? Luca was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer, almost sad. Sometimes we need someone real, someone who hasn't been corrupted by money and power. Maya thought about Ella at home with Mrs. Peterson, probably wondering where her mommy was. She thought about the hospital bill and the rent that was due next week. She thought about all the nights she'd lain awake worrying about their future. One night, she said, and the debt is gone? All of it. Maya closed her eyes. When she opened them, Luca was still watching her with that intense stare. Okay, she whispered. For the first time since she'd sat down, Luca smiled. It wasn't a warm smile, but it wasn't cruel either. It was the smile of a man who always got what he wanted. Good. Someone will be in touch with the details. Maya stood up on shaky legs. Can I go now? Of course. Your daughter is probably wondering where you are. The casual way he mentioned Ella made Maya's skin crawl. It was a reminder that this man knew everything about her life, everything about the people she loved. Maya walked to the door, then turned back. Mr. Romano? Yes? This is just business, right? Nothing else? Luca's expression didn't change. Everything is business with me, Maya. But business can take many forms. Maya left the restaurant feeling more confused and frightened than when she'd arrived. She'd made a deal with the devil, and she had no idea what the real price would be. But as she rode the subway back to her neighborhood, one thought kept running through her mind. Ella would be safe. Whatever happened to Maya, Ella would be safe. It had to be enough. Maya was halfway home when she realized she was being followed. The footsteps behind her matched her pace perfectly. Slow when she slowed down, fast when she sped up. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she turned down her street. The footsteps followed. Maya fumbled for her keys, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold them. Maya Brooks. She spun around. Two men stood under the streetlight about 20 feet away. They were big, rough-looking, with faces like bulldogs. One of them had a scar running from his ear to his mouth. What do you want? Maya's voice came out as a squeak. Just want to talk, the scarred man said. He smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Hear you've been making friends with Luca Romano. Maya's blood turned to ice. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do, sweetheart. Pretty little thing like you, all dressed up, having dinner at Delacroix. Word travels fast in our line of work. The second man stepped closer. See, Romano thinks he owns this part of the city, but he's wrong. There are other players in the game. Maya backed toward her apartment building, but her legs felt like jello. Please, I just want to go home to my daughter. That's right, the scarred man said. Little Ella, sweet kid. Be a real shame if something happened to her. The world tilted sideways. Maya grabbed the brick wall of her building to keep from falling. Don't you dare. Easy now, the man said. We're not monsters. We don't hurt kids. But accidents happen, especially to the kids of people who make poor choices. Maya opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came out. She was frozen with terror. Then she heard another voice from the shadows. I'd walk away if I were you. Maya spun around. Luca Romano stepped out of the darkness between two parked cars. He looked completely calm, like he was out for an evening stroll. But something in his posture made Maya's skin prickle with danger. The two men took a step back. Romano, the scarred man said. This is a friendly conversation. Didn't look friendly to me. Luca moved closer, and Maya noticed he kept himself between her and the two men. Looked like harassment. You were leaving. Luca's voice was quiet, but it cut through the night air like a blade. Right now, the scarred man's jaw twitched. For a moment, Maya thought he might argue. Then he looked into Luca's eyes and seemed to think better of it. This ain't over, he said. Yes, it is. The two men walked away, but not before the scarred one looked back at Maya with cold eyes. See you around, sweetheart. Maya waited until they disappeared around the corner before she could breathe again. Her legs gave out and she slumped against the wall. You okay? Luca asked. Maya looked up at him. In the streetlight, his face was softer than it had been in the restaurant, almost concerned. How did you know I was here? She whispered. I had someone keeping an eye on you. Good thing, too. Maya struggled to her feet. Who were those men? Competition, Luca said simply. They won't bother you again. How can you be sure? Luca's eyes hardened. Because I told them not to. Maya hugged herself, still shaking. This is insane. I can't live like this. I have a daughter. Which is why you need protection. Maya stared at him. From you? From people like them? Luca nodded toward the street where the men had disappeared. You're connected to me now, Maya. That makes you a target. The reality of what she'd gotten herself into hit Maya like a freight train. She'd thought one evening would solve all her problems. Instead, she'd painted a target on her back, and on Ella's. I want out, she said. I've changed my mind. Keep the debt. I'll find another way to pay it. It's too late for that. Maya felt tears burning behind her eyes. What have I done? For a moment, something that might have been sympathy flickered across Luca's face. Then it was gone, replaced by that cold mask. You did what any mother would do, he said quietly. You tried to protect your child. Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. And now I've put her in more danger. Not if you do what I say. Maya looked up at him. What's that supposed to mean? It means trust me, Maya. I know this world. You don't. Follow my lead, and both you and Ella will be safe. Maya wanted to laugh, or cry, or scream. Trust the man who'd gotten her into this mess in the first place? But what choice did she have? The gala, she said. That's really all you want from me? Luca was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer than she'd heard it before. For now. Maya felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold night air. But she nodded anyway. Okay. Luca reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small white card. He handed it to Maya. My driver will pick you up tomorrow at 7. We need to get you ready for Friday night. Maya took the card. Her name was written on it in elegant script. Ready how? Clothes, hair, the works. You'll need to look the part. Maya thought about her meager wardrobe and felt her cheeks burn with shame. I don't have money for... It's taken care of. I don't want your charity. Luca's jaw tightened. It's not charity. It's an investment. Maya flinched at his words. She was an investment to him, a tool to be used and then discarded. I should go, she said. My daughter is waiting. Luca nodded. Maya? She turned back. Those men tonight, they were serious. Don't go anywhere alone until after Friday, understand? Maya understood. She was a prisoner now, just with invisible chains. She climbed the stairs to her apartment on unsteady legs. Mrs. Peterson answered her door before Maya could even knock. How did it go, dear? The older woman asked. Maya forced a smile. Fine. Everything's fine. But as she took Ella's sleeping form from Mrs. Peterson's arms and carried her daughter home, Maya knew that nothing would ever be fine again. She tucked Ella into bed and sat beside her, watching her daughter's peaceful face in the dim light from the hallway. Ella looked so small, so innocent. She had no idea that her world had just changed forever. Maya smoothed Ella's dark hair away from her forehead and whispered, I'm sorry, baby. Mommy made a mistake. But I'll fix it. I promise. I'll fix it. Ella stirred in her sleep and smiled, like she could hear her mother's voice even in her dreams. Maya's heart broke a little more. She'd sold her soul to protect her daughter. Now she just had to pray it would be enough. Outside her window, a black car sat at the curb. Maya couldn't see the driver, but she knew he was there. Watching, waiting, protecting, or guarding. She wasn't sure there was a difference anymore. Maya pulled the curtains closed and tried not to think about what tomorrow would bring. Maya barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw those two men from the street, the way they'd smiled when they mentioned Ella, the casual threat in their voices. At 6 a.m., she gave up trying to sleep and made coffee with shaking hands. The black car was still parked outside her window. In the early morning light, she could see the outline of a man behind the wheel. Mommy? Ella padded into the kitchen in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Why are you up so early? Maya knelt down and pulled her daughter into a hug. Ella felt so small and warm against her chest, so fragile. Couldn't sleep, sweetheart. How are you feeling today? Ella shrugged. She'd been doing that a lot lately instead of talking. Maya's heart ached every time. Let's make pancakes, Maya said, forcing brightness into her voice. Special Tuesday pancakes. Ella's face lit up a little. Maya would have made 100 pancakes to see that smile. They were sitting at the tiny kitchen table when Maya's phone rang. She looked at the unknown number and her stomach clenched. Hello? Ms. Brooks, this is David. I work for Mr. Romano. I'll be picking you up at 7 tonight, as planned. Maya glanced at Ella, who was carefully cutting her pancakes into perfect squares. I remember. Excellent. Please be ready promptly. The line went dead. Maya stared at the phone, her appetite gone. Who was that? Ella asked quietly. Maya forced another smile. Just someone about work, baby. But Ella wasn't fooled. She had always been able to read Maya's moods like a book. Her dark eyes were full of worry. "Is everything okay, Mommy?" Maya's heart clenched. She wanted to tell Ella the truth, that nothing was okay, that they were trapped in something dangerous and scary. But Ella was 7 years old. She deserved to feel safe, even if it was just pretend. "Everything's perfect," Maya lied. "Eat your pancakes before they get cold." The day crawled by like torture. Maya went through the motions at work, but her mind was somewhere else. Every time the diner door opened, she jumped. Every time her phone rang, her heart stopped. Rosa noticed, of course. Rosa noticed everything. "You sure you're okay, honey?" she asked during the lunch rush. "You look like you're about to jump out of your skin." "Just tired," Maya said, refilling the coffee pot for the 3rd time in 10 minutes. "Tired, my ass. Something's got you spooked." Maya wanted to tell Rosa everything. Rosa was like the mother Maya had never had. But how could she explain that she'd made a deal with a man who probably had people killed for a living? "I'm fine, Rosa." "Really?" Rosa gave her a look that said she didn't believe it for a second, but she let it drop. At 5 p.m., Maya's shift ended. Usually she'd rush to her second job, but today was different. Today she had an appointment with Luca Romano's people. The thought made her sick to her stomach. Maya picked up Ella from school and walked her home, constantly looking over her shoulder. The black car followed them at a distance. Maya wasn't sure if that made her feel better or worse. "Mommy, why do you keep looking behind us?" Ella asked. Maya's cheeks burned. "Just checking traffic, sweetheart." At 6:30, Maya stood in front of her tiny closet, trying to figure out what to wear. Everything she owned was either work clothes or old casual stuff. Nothing seemed right for meeting with whatever kind of people worked for Luca Romano. She settled on a simple black dress she'd worn to a job interview 2 years ago. It was a little tight now, but it was the best she had. "You look pretty, Mommy," Ella said from the bed where she was coloring. "Thank you, baby." Maya knelt down and kissed Ella's forehead. "Mrs. Peterson is going to watch you for a little while, okay?" Ella's crayon stopped moving. "Where are you going?" Maya's throat felt tight. "Just some errands. I'll be back soon." "Promise?" The word hit Maya like a punch. "I promise." But as she said it, Maya wondered if it was a promise she could keep. At exactly 7 o'clock, there was a soft knock on the door. Maya opened it to find a man in a dark suit. He was probably 40, with gray at his temples and kind eyes. "Ms. Brooks, I'm David. I'll be driving you this evening." Maya looked past him to see a sleek black car parked at the curb. It looked like something out of a movie. "I'll just be a minute," Maya said. She kissed Ella goodbye and followed David to the car. He opened the back door for her like she was somebody important. Maya had never ridden in a car with a driver before. "Where are we going?" she asked as they pulled away from her building. David glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Mr. Romano thought you might like to visit a boutique for tomorrow evening." Maya's cheeks burned with embarrassment. Of course. She couldn't show up to a fancy charity gala in her secondhand clothes. "I don't have money for—" "It's all been arranged, miss." Maya wanted to argue, but what was the point? She was already in too deep to worry about pride. The boutique was in the kind of neighborhood Maya only saw in magazines. Everything was clean and expensive looking. Even the sidewalks seemed to sparkle. David led her into a shop called Bella Vita. It was small but elegant, with beautiful dresses displayed like works of art. "Ms. Brooks," said a woman with silver hair and a warm smile. "I'm Sophia. We've been expecting you." Maya felt completely out of place. "I've never done anything like this before." "Don't worry, dear. We'll take wonderful care of you." For the next 2 hours, Sophia and her assistant transformed Maya into someone she barely recognized. They tried on dress after dress until they found the perfect one, a deep blue gown that made Maya's eyes look like sapphires. Then came the shoes, the jewelry, the makeup and hair consultation for tomorrow night. Maya stared at herself in the full-length mirror and felt like she was looking at a stranger. The woman looking back at her was elegant, sophisticated, beautiful. "You look stunning," Sophia said with genuine warmth. "Mr. Romano has excellent taste." Maya's stomach twisted at the mention of his name. "How well do you know him?" Sophia's expression became carefully neutral. "Well enough to know he's a good man to have on your side." Maya wanted to ask more questions, but something in Sophia's tone warned her off. As they were leaving, Sophia handed Maya a garment bag and several small boxes. "Everything you'll need for tomorrow," she said. "The car will pick you up at 6. "Thank you," Maya said. "For everything." Sophia squeezed her hand. "Be careful, dear. Men like Luca Romano, they're complicated. But underneath all that steel, there's usually a reason for it." David drove Maya home in comfortable silence. As they pulled up to her building, he turned around. "Ms. Brooks, if I may, Mr. Romano isn't what most people think he is." Maya frowned. "What do you mean? He's not a monster. He's just a man who's been through things that would break most people. Before Maya could ask what he meant, David was out of the car and opening her door. Maya climbed the stairs to her apartment with Sophia's words and David's warning spinning in her head. What kind of man was Luca Romano, really? Mrs. Peterson met her at the door. How did it go, dear? Fine, Maya said automatically. How was Ella? Quiet. She kept asking when you'd be back. Guilt twisted in Maya's stomach. Where is she now? In your bedroom, watching cartoons? Maya found Ella curled up on the bed with her stuffed rabbit. She looked so small and alone. Hey, sweetheart, Maya said, sitting on the edge of the bed. I'm back. Ella looked up with relief. Mommy, I missed you. I missed you too, baby. Maya pulled Ella into her arms. What did you do while I was gone? Drew you a picture. Ella reached for a piece of paper on the nightstand. It's us. Maya looked at the crayon drawing. 2 stick figures holding hands under a yellow sun. Both figures were smiling. It's beautiful, Maya whispered, her throat tight with emotion. Just like you. Ella snuggled closer. Mommy, are you going away again tomorrow? Maya's heart broke a little. Just for a few hours. But I'll always come back to you, Ella. Always. Promise? Maya closed her eyes. I promise. But even as she said the words, Maya wondered what kind of promises she could keep anymore. The next evening arrived too quickly. Maya spent the day trying to act normal, but inside she felt like she was coming apart at the seams. At 5 p.m., she started getting ready. The dress fit perfectly, hugging her curves in all the right places. The shoes were higher than anything she'd ever worn, but they made her legs look miles long. Sophia had been right. Maya looked stunning, but she felt like she was playing dress-up in someone else's life. Wow, Ella breathed from the doorway. Mommy, you look like a princess. Maya turned from the mirror, her heart swelling with love. Thank you, sweetheart. Where are you going? Maya knelt down carefully, mindful of the expensive dress. A work party, very boring grown-up stuff. Ella touched the fabric of Maya's dress with gentle fingers. Will there be dancing? Maybe. Will you dance with the prince? Maya's breath caught. If only Ella knew how close to the truth that was. Except her prince was more like a king, a dangerous, powerful king who could destroy her with a word. We'll see, Maya said softly. At exactly 6 o'clock, there was a knock at the door. Maya opened it to find David again, but this time he wasn't alone. Ms. Brooks, said the woman beside him. I'm Teresa. I'll be helping you this evening. Teresa was probably 60, with steel gray hair and kind but sharp eyes. She wore a simple black dress that screamed expensive. Helping me how? Maya asked. With protocol, Teresa said gently. Mr. Romano wants you to feel comfortable tonight. Maya felt her cheeks burn. Of course she needed help. She was a waitress from the wrong side of town. She had no idea how to act at a fancy charity gala. Thank you, Maya said quietly. As they walked to the car, Teresa spoke in low tones. The key is to stay close to Mr. Romano. Let him lead the conversations. Smile, but don't talk too much. And whatever you do, don't mention what he does for a living. Maya's stomach churned. What if someone asks how we met? You work at a small gallery downtown. You've been seeing each other for a few months. Keep it simple. Maya nodded, trying to memorize the story. It felt like she was preparing for a school play, except the stakes were life and death. The car pulled up to the most beautiful hotel Maya had ever seen. The lobby was all marble and gold, with crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than Maya's apartment. Breathe, Teresa whispered as they walked toward the elevator. You look beautiful. You belong here. But Maya didn't feel like she belonged. She felt like a fraud in an expensive dress. The elevator opened on the top floor, and Maya's breath caught. The ballroom was magnificent. Hundreds of people in evening wear mingled under glittering lights. The women's jewelry probably cost more than Maya would make in her lifetime. There he is, Teresa said softly. Maya followed her gaze and saw Luca Romano standing near the bar. He wore a perfectly tailored black tuxedo that made him look like he'd stepped out of a magazine. Several men in expensive suits surrounded him, hanging on his every word. Then he looked up and saw her. Maya's heart stopped. For a moment, the crowded ballroom faded away. There was just Luca, looking at her like she was the most beautiful woman in the room. He said something to the men around him and walked toward Maya with smooth, confident strides. Other people moved out of his way without even seeming to notice they were doing it. Maya, he said when he reached her. His voice was warm, different from how he'd sounded in the restaurant. You look incredible. Maya felt her cheeks flush. Thank you. Luca offered her his arm. Shall we? Maya took his arm, acutely aware of how strong he felt beneath the expensive fabric of his tuxedo. As they walked into the crowd, she noticed how people looked at them. At him, really. There was respect in their eyes. And fear. Relax, Luca murmured in her ear. You're doing fine. For the next hour, Maya played her part. She smiled and made small talk with important-looking people whose names she immediately forgot. She let Luca introduce her as his girlfriend and tried not to think about how easily the lie rolled off his tongue. "You're a natural at this," he said during a quiet moment. Maya looked up at him in surprise. "I feel like everyone can see right through me." "Trust me, they can't. You're perfect." Something in his voice made Maya's breath catch. For a moment, she almost forgot this was all pretend. Then she saw him. A man across the room was staring at them with cold, calculating eyes. He was older than Luca, maybe 50, with silver hair and a face like carved stone. "Who is that?" Maya whispered. Luca followed her gaze and his entire body tensed. "Trouble." The man started walking toward them, and Maya felt Luca's hand tighten on her arm. "Whatever happens," Luca said quietly, "stay calm. Don't let go of my arm." Maya's heart started racing. "Luca? Romano," the man said as he approached. His voice was smooth as silk and twice as dangerous. "What a surprise to see you here." "Vitali," Luca replied. His voice was perfectly controlled, but Maya could feel the tension radiating from his body. "I didn't know you were in town." "Business," Vitali said with a cold smile. Then his eyes shifted to Maya. "And who is this lovely creature?" Maya felt like a mouse being studied by a snake. "Maya Brooks," Luca said. "Maya, this is Antonio Vitali." Maya managed a small smile. "Nice to meet you." Vitali took her hand and kissed it, his lips lingering a moment too long. Maya fought the urge to snatch her hand away. "Charming," Vitali said, his eyes never leaving Maya's face. "Tell me, my dear, what do you see in our friend Romano here?" Maya's mind went blank. This wasn't part of the script Teresa had given her. She sees what any intelligent woman would see," Luca interrupted smoothly. "Quality." Vitali laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. "Quality. Yes, I suppose that's one way to put it." The conversation continued for a few more minutes, but Maya barely heard it. She was too focused on the undercurrents of threat and violence flowing between the two men. Finally, Vitali excused himself with another cold smile. "Enjoy your evening," he said to Maya. "I have a feeling we'll be seeing more of each other soon." After he walked away, Maya realized she'd been holding her breath. "Who was that really?" she whispered. "Someone who makes things complicated," Luca said. His jaw was tight with tension. "Complicated how?" Luca was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft and sad. "He's the reason I needed you here tonight, Maya. He's the reason for all of this." Maya looked up at him. "I don't understand." "Vitali thinks I've gone soft, that I've lost my edge. Having a woman like you on my arm, it sends a message that I'm still strong, still in control." Maya felt sick. "So I'm what? A prop?" "Your protection," Luca said firmly. "For both of us." Before Maya could ask what he meant, the lights dimmed and a speaker announced that dinner was about to be served. Luca led her to a table near the front of the room. As they sat down, Maya noticed that several other dangerous-looking men had positioned themselves at nearby tables. Luca's people, she realized. Bodyguards. "Are we in danger?" she whispered. Luca poured wine into her glass with steady hands. "Not any more than usual." Maya didn't find that particularly comforting. Dinner was a blur of expensive food and stilted conversation. Maya picked at her plate, her stomach too knotted with anxiety to eat. Luca played the part of the attentive boyfriend perfectly, but Maya could see the tension in his shoulders. After dinner, the dancing started. Maya watched couples glide across the marble floor and felt completely out of her element. "Dance with me," Luca said, standing and offering his hand. "I don't really know how." "I'll teach you." Maya took his hand and let him lead her onto the dance floor. As the music started, Luca pulled her into his arms. "Just follow my lead," he murmured in her ear. Maya tried to focus on the steps, but she was distracted by how perfectly she fit against Luca's chest, how strong and warm his hands felt on her back, how good he smelled. Expensive cologne mixed with something uniquely him. "You're a natural," he said softly. Maya looked up into his dark eyes. "I'm terrified I'm going to trip and embarrass you." "Impossible." They danced in silence for a while, lost in the music and the feeling of moving together. Maya found herself relaxing for the first time all evening. "Luca," she said finally. Why did your wife leave you?" Luca's steps faltered slightly. Maya felt his entire body tense. "What makes you think she left me?" Maya looked up at him. "I just assumed. You're single now, so—" Luca's face went completely blank. "She didn't leave me, Maya. She died." Maya's heart stopped. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know." "Car accident," Luca continued in a flat voice. 3 years ago. She was driving home from her sister's house. Someone ran a red light and hit her car going 60 miles per hour. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Luca, she was pregnant, he said, still in that terrible, emotionless voice. 7 months. We were going to name him Michael, after my father. Maya's heart shattered into pieces. I'm so sorry. They'd stopped dancing. Luca just stood there in the middle of the dance floor, holding Maya in his arms, lost in memories. That's why you understand, Maya whispered, about protecting family. Luca looked down at her, and for a moment, his mask slipped completely. Maya saw raw pain in his dark eyes, the grief of a man who'd lost everything that mattered. Yes, he said simply. Maya reached up and touched his face gently. I'm sorry. For a moment, Luca leaned into her touch. Then he seemed to remember where they were. His walls went back up, but not completely. Something had changed between them. We should go, he said quietly. Maya nodded. As they walked off the dance floor, she noticed Vitaly watching them from across the room. His cold smile made her skin crawl. In the car on the way home, Luca was quiet. Maya wanted to say something comforting, but she didn't know what. How do you comfort someone who's lost so much? Thank you, Luca said finally as they pulled up to Maya's building. For what? For tonight. For understanding. Maya looked at him in the dim light of the car. This man had threatened her, controlled her, turned her life upside down. But right now, he just looked broken. My daughter hasn't spoken in 6 months, Maya said softly. After her father left, the doctors say it's trauma. Luca's eyes softened. Children are resilient. She'll find her voice again. How do you know? Because she has you fighting for her. Maya felt tears threaten. Sometimes I feel like I'm failing her. You're not, Luca said firmly. You're doing everything you can. That's what good mothers do. Maya studied his face. You would have been a good father. Pain flickered across Luca's features. We'll never know. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Maya reached for the door handle. Maya, Luca said. She turned back. This isn't over. Vitaly being here, it changes things. Maya's stomach clenched with fear. What kind of things? I may need to ask more of you, for your protection and Ella's. Maya's hand tightened on the door handle. What do you mean? I mean stay close to me, Maya. Don't go anywhere alone. And if anything feels wrong, anything at all, you call me immediately. Luca handed her a cell phone. It was expensive looking and already programmed with his number. I don't understand, Maya said. The debt is paid, right? This was supposed to be one night. Luca's jaw tightened. It was. But Vitaly saw you with me tonight. That makes you part of this whether we like it or not. Maya felt the walls of her new prison closing in. For how long? Until it's safe. And when will that be? Luca looked at her with those dark, haunted eyes. I don't know. Maya climbed out of the car on unsteady legs. As she walked toward her building, she heard the car window roll down. Maya, she turned. You did good tonight. Better than good. Maya nodded and walked inside, her heart pounding. As she climbed the stairs to her apartment, one thought kept running through her mind. What had she gotten herself into? Maya woke up to the sound of her phone buzzing, the expensive phone Luca had given her. She grabbed it with shaking hands, her heart racing before she was even fully awake. Hello? Ms. Brooks, this is David. Mr. Romano would like to see you this morning. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Maya sat up, fully alert now. Is everything okay? Just bring an overnight bag for you and Ella. Nothing to worry about. The line went dead. Maya stared at the phone, her stomach churning. Nothing to worry about? If that was true, why did she need an overnight bag? Mommy? Ella appeared in the doorway, rubbing her sleepy eyes. Who was that? Maya forced a smile. Just someone from work, sweetheart. We're going to take a little trip today. Where? Maya had no idea. Somewhere fun. Why don't you pack some clothes and your favorite toys? Ella's face lit up. She loved adventures, even small ones. If only she knew what kind of adventure this really was. 20 minutes later, Maya had thrown together bags for both of them. She had no idea what to pack or how long they'd be gone. Her hands shook as she stuffed Ella's medication into her purse. David arrived exactly on time. This time, he wasn't alone. A woman sat in the passenger seat, Teresa from the night before. Good morning, Teresa said warmly as they loaded their bags into the trunk. I hope you don't mind, but Mr. Romano thought you might like some company. Maya helped Ella into the car and slid in beside her. Where are we going? Somewhere safe, Teresa said. Mr. Romano will explain everything when we arrive. They drove for almost an hour, leaving the city behind. Maya watched familiar neighborhoods disappear through the window, replaced by expensive suburbs and then countryside. Finally, they turned through a set of tall iron gates. Maya's breath caught as she saw the house. No, mansion at the end of the long driveway. It looked like something from a movie. All stone and tall windows, surrounded by perfectly manicured gardens. Wow, Ella breathed, pressing her nose to the window. It's like a castle. Maya's throat felt tight. It sure is, baby. Luca was waiting for them at the front door. He wore dark jeans and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Somehow, he looked even more intimidating in casual clothes than he had in the tuxedo. Maya, he said as they got out of the car. Ella, welcome. Ella hid behind Maya's legs, suddenly shy. Luca crouched down to her level, making himself less imposing. Hi, Ella, he said gently. I'm Luca. This is my house. Would you like to see the garden? There are butterflies. Ella peeked out from behind Maya. Real butterflies? Lots of them. And a pond with fish. Despite her shyness, Ella was intrigued. She'd always loved animals and nature. Can I, Mommy? She whispered. Maya looked from her daughter to Luca. His expression was soft, almost tender. Nothing like the cold, dangerous man she'd first met. Of course, Maya said, but stay where I can see you. As Ella wandered toward the garden with obvious wonder, Maya turned to Luca. Why are we here? Luca's expression grew serious. Because last night changed everything. Vitaly knows about you now. About Ella. That puts you both in danger. Maya felt cold, despite the warm morning sun. What kind of danger? The kind where people get hurt to send messages. Luca's jaw was tight with anger. I won't let that happen. Maya hugged herself, suddenly feeling very small. How long do we have to stay here? Until I can neutralize the threat. And how long will that take? Luca was quiet for a moment. I don't know. Maya felt tears threatening. This was supposed to be over. One night, he'd said. One night, and her debt would be forgiven. I want to go home, she whispered. I know. Luca's voice was surprisingly gentle. But home isn't safe right now. This is insane. I'm a waitress. I don't belong in this world. You're right. You don't. Luca stepped closer. But you're here now, and I'm going to keep you safe. Both of you. Maya looked up at him. Why? Why do you care what happens to us? Luca was quiet for so long that Maya thought he wasn't going to answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. Because everyone deserves to be protected. Especially children. There was something in his tone that made Maya's heart ache. Pain, loss. The grief of a man who couldn't protect his own child. Luca, let me show you to your rooms, he said, cutting her off. Teresa will help you get settled. The inside of the house was even more impressive than the outside. High ceilings, expensive furniture, artwork that probably cost more than Maya's yearly salary. But it felt empty somehow. Like a museum instead of a home. Teresa led them upstairs to a beautiful suite with 2 bedrooms connected by a sitting area. This will be yours, she said to Maya, opening the door to a room that was bigger than Maya's entire apartment. And this one is for Ella. Ella's room was like something from a fairy tale. A canopy bed with pink curtains, a window seat overlooking the garden, toys and books already arranged on the shelves. It's beautiful, Ella whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. Mr. Romano had it prepared especially for you, Teresa said with a warm smile. Maya felt her throat tighten. When had he done this? And why? There are clothes in the closet, Teresa continued. I hope I guessed the sizes correctly. Maya opened the closet door and gasped. It was full of beautiful clothes, casual wear, dresses, even pajamas. Everything in her size and Ella's. This is too much, Maya said. Mr. Romano wanted you to be comfortable. But we can't accept all this. Maya. Teresa's voice was kind but firm. Let him take care of you. It's what he needs right now. Maya frowned. What do you mean? Teresa was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. Mr. Romano is a good man who's been through terrible things. Taking care of people, it helps heal something in him. Maya thought about what Luca had told her the night before. His wife, his unborn child, the family he'd lost in an instant. How long have you worked for him? Maya asked. 20 years. I knew his wife, Isabella. Watched them fall in love, get married. I was there when they lost. Teresa's voice trailed off. He's not the same man he was before the accident. What was he like before? Teresa smiled sadly. Lighter. He laughed more. He was still in this business, but it didn't consume him the way it does now. Maya absorbed this, trying to picture Luca as a man who laughed easily. It seemed impossible. The little girl's room is beautiful, Maya said finally. He designed it himself, down to the last detail. Teresa's eyes were soft. I think it helps him imagine what might have been. Maya's heart ached for this man who'd lost so much. But she pushed the feeling away. She couldn't afford to feel sorry for Luca Romano. He was dangerous, no matter how much pain he carried. After Teresa left, Maya helped Ella unpack her few belongings in the enormous room. Everything they owned looked shabby and small in such an elegant space. "Mommy, why are we really here?" Ella asked quietly. Maya sat on the bed and pulled her daughter close. "Some bad people are mad at me, sweetheart. So we're staying here where it's safe until the problem gets fixed." "Are you in trouble?" Maya's throat felt tight. "A little bit, but don't worry. The nice man downstairs is going to help us." "Mr. Luca?" "Yes." Ella was quiet for a moment. He seemed sad. Maya was constantly amazed by her daughter's perceptiveness. "Why do you think that?" "His eyes. They're sad like yours were after Daddy left." Maya's heart clenched. She thought she'd hidden her pain better than that. "Sometimes grown-ups go through hard things, sweetheart. But it gets better. Will his sadness get better too?" Maya looked out the window toward the garden where she could see Luca talking on his phone. Even from a distance, she could see the tension in his shoulders. "I hope so, baby. I hope so." That afternoon, Maya wandered through the house while Ella napped. The place was enormous. Probably a dozen bedrooms, multiple sitting rooms, a library that took her breath away. She found Luca in what looked like his office. He was on the phone speaking in rapid Italian. His tone was harsh, angry. Maya started to back away, but he noticed her and gestured for her to come in. "No," he said into the phone, switching back to English. "That's not acceptable. I don't care what he wants. The answer is no." He listened for a moment, his jaw getting tighter. "Tell Vitali if he wants to discuss terms, he can call me directly. But there will be no negotiations while he has innocence in his crosshairs." Maya's blood ran cold. This was about her, about Ella. Luca ended the call and looked at her with tired eyes. "How are you settling in? What did he want?" Maya asked, ignoring his question. Luca hesitated. "It's complicated. I think I deserve to know what's happening. This is my life, my daughter's life." Luca studied her face for a long moment. Then he sighed and gestured to the chair across from his desk. "Vitali wants territory that I control. Docks, mainly. Very profitable docks. He's been trying to pressure me to sell for months." Maya sat down carefully. "And I fit into this how? He thinks you're a weakness. That he can use you and Ella to force me into giving him what he wants." Maya felt sick. "So we're bargaining chips." "No." Luca's voice was firm. "You're under my protection. That's not the same thing, isn't it?" Luca was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer. "Maya, I know this is difficult. I know you didn't ask for any of this. But I swear to you, I will not let anything happen to you or Ella." "How can you promise that?" "Because I've lost enough already." The raw pain in his voice made Maya's chest tight. She wanted to comfort him, which was ridiculous. He was the reason she was in this mess in the first place. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we wait, and we stay alert." Maya stood up. "I should check on Ella." "Maya," she turned back. "I'm sorry for all of this. You don't deserve to be caught in the middle of something that has nothing to do with you." Maya looked at this complicated, dangerous man who somehow seemed to care about her daughter's happiness more than most people in their actual lives. "Why did you have Ella's room decorated?" she asked. Luca's expression became guarded. "I wanted her to be comfortable." "That's not why." They stared at each other for a long moment. Finally, Luca looked away. "My son would have been her age now," he said quietly. "If he'd lived." Maya's heart broke for him. "Luca, I know it doesn't make sense. I know that I can't replace what she's lost. But maybe, for a little while, she can feel safe here, feel wanted." Maya felt tears burning behind her eyes. This man, this dangerous, powerful man, just wanted to protect a child, any child, because he couldn't protect his own. "She does feel safe," Maya said softly. "Thank you for that." Luca nodded, but didn't look at her. Maya started to leave, then stopped. "Luca, the room is perfect. She loves it." For the first time since she'd met him, Luca Romano smiled. Really smiled. It transformed his entire face, making him look years younger. "Good," he said. "That's good." Maya left him alone with his memories and went to find her daughter. That evening, they had dinner together in the formal dining room. Ella was fascinated by the crystal glasses and cloth napkins. She kept touching everything with gentle, careful fingers. "This is fancier than the restaurants on TV," she whispered to Maya. Luca overheard and chuckled. "We can eat in the kitchen tomorrow if you'd prefer. It's less formal." "Really?" Ella's eyes lit up. "Can I help cook?" Maya started to say no. They were guests, they shouldn't impose. But Luca answered first. "I'd like that. Do you know how to make pancakes?" "Mommy taught me. We make them every Sunday." "Then we'll make pancakes for breakfast." "Deal?" Ella giggled. Actually giggled. Maya hadn't heard that sound in months. "Deal," Ella said solemnly, then broke into another fit of giggles. Maya watched her daughter come alive in a way she hadn't seen since the divorce. Luca was gentle with Ella, patient. He answered her endless questions about the house, the garden, the fish in the pond. After dinner, Luca showed them the library. Ella gasped when she saw all the books. "Have you read all of these?" she asked in amazement. "Not all of them," Luca admitted, "but I've tried. Do you like to read?" Ella nodded enthusiastically. "Mommy reads to me every night." "What's your favorite story?" "The one about the princess who saves the dragon?" Luca looked puzzled. "Don't you mean the princess who's saved by the dragon?" "No," Ella said seriously. "The dragon is sad and scared, and the princess helps him find his family. Sometimes the girls have to do the saving." Luca glanced at Maya, something unreadable in his expression. "That's a very wise story." Maya felt her throat tighten. Ella was right, of course. Sometimes the girls did have to do the saving. Maya had been trying to save Ella for months, but maybe, just maybe, they were both safe enough here to let someone else be strong for a while. Later, after Ella was tucked into her fairy tale bed, Maya found herself unable to sleep. She walked out onto the balcony of her room and stared out at the gardens. The moon was full, casting everything in silver light. "Beautiful night." Maya turned to find Luca standing in the doorway. He'd changed into jeans and a simple t-shirt. Somehow, he looked more approachable this way. "I couldn't sleep," Maya said. "Neither could I." Luca stepped onto the balcony but kept his distance. "Too quiet here. I'm used to the city." "Is this really your house?" "One of them. I don't spend much time here usually." "Why not? It's beautiful." Luca was quiet for a moment. Too many rooms. Too much space for memories. Maya understood. After the divorce, she'd wanted to move somewhere smaller. Somewhere that didn't echo with the ghost of the family they'd been. "Thank you," Maya said. "For dinner. For making Ella laugh. She hasn't done that in a long time. She's a special kid. Smart. Funny when she feels safe. She likes you. I like her too." Luca paused. "She reminds me that there's still good in the world." Maya studied his profile in the moonlight. "Is there? Good in your world, I mean. Very little. That's what makes it precious when you find it." They stood in comfortable silence for a while, both lost in their own thoughts. "Maya," Luca said finally, "I need you to know something. Whatever happens with Vitali, whatever I have to do to keep you safe, you and Ella will always have a choice. When this is over, if you want to go back to your old life, I'll help you do that. New apartment, new job if you want it. Clean slate." Maya turned to look at him. "And if I don't want to go back?" The question hung between them, loaded with possibilities neither of them was ready to examine. "Then we'll figure out what comes next," Luca said simply. Maya felt her heart skip. This was dangerous territory. Getting attached to this man, this life, would only lead to heartbreak. But standing here in the moonlight, she could almost imagine a different future. A safer one. "I should get some sleep," she said. "Maya," she stopped. "Thank you for trusting me with her, with Ella. I know that wasn't easy." Maya looked back at him. "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "A monster." Luca's smile was sad. "Most days, I'm not sure there's a difference." But Maya was beginning to think he was wrong about that. Monsters didn't design fairy tale bedrooms for little girls. They didn't make pancake promises or worry about making children feel safe. Maybe Luca Romano wasn't a monster after all. Maybe he was just a broken man trying to find his way back to the light. The thought should have comforted Maya. Instead, it terrified her. Because falling for a broken man was exactly the kind of mistake she couldn't afford to make. Not when Ella's safety depended on keeping her heart locked away. But as Maya lay in her comfortable bed that night, listening to her daughter's peaceful breathing in the next room, she couldn't stop thinking about the sadness in Luca's eyes. And despite all her warnings to herself, she found herself wondering what it would take to make him smile like that again. Really smile. The kind that reached his eyes and chased away the shadows. She was in so much trouble. Maya woke to the sound of laughter. Real, genuine laughter coming from downstairs. She sat up in bed, confused. Ella hadn't laughed like that since before the divorce. Maya pulled on a robe and padded downstairs in her bare feet. The sound led her to the kitchen, where she found an incredible scene. Luca stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with theatrical flair. His dark hair was messy, and there was flour on his black t-shirt. Ella sat on a tall stool at the counter, giggling as she watched him. "Higher!" Ella called out. "Flip it higher!" Luca grinned and tossed the pancake up toward the ceiling. It spun in the air and landed perfectly back in the pan. "Show off," said a gruff voice from the corner. Maya turned to see a man she didn't recognize sitting at a small table with coffee and a newspaper. He was probably 40, with dark hair and kind eyes despite his tough appearance. "Maya," Luca said, noticing her in the doorway. "Good morning. I hope we didn't wake you." "Mommy!" Ella bounced on her stool. "Mister." Luca is making pancakes shaped like butterflies, and this is Mr. Alessio. He's funny. The man at the table, Alessio, stood up and gave Maya a small bow. "Ma'am," Sorry for intruding on breakfast. Boss man here needed to discuss some business. Maya looked between the two men. Business. That probably meant something to do with Vitaly. It's fine, Maya said, forcing a smile. Ella, why don't you go get dressed after breakfast? We can explore the gardens. Can Mr. Luca come too? Ella asked hopefully. We'll see, sweetheart. Luca handed Ella a plate of butterfly-shaped pancakes, then moved closer to Maya. Everything okay? He asked quietly. I need to talk to you. After Ella's done eating, Luca nodded. Alessio can keep an eye on her. Maya looked over at Alessio, who was making funny faces at Ella while she ate. Despite his tough appearance, he seemed gentle with children. Is it safe? Maya whispered. With my life, Luca said firmly. 20 minutes later, Maya and Luca walked through the gardens while Alessio showed Ella how to feed the fish in the pond. What's happening? Maya asked once they were out of earshot. Luca's expression was grim. Vitaly made his move last night. He bought the building where you work. Maya's heart stopped. The diner? And your apartment building. Maya felt dizzy. That's not possible. How can he just… Money talks. And Vitaly has a lot of it. Maya sank onto a stone bench, her legs suddenly weak. So I don't have a job. Or a home. Not at the moment. Maya put her head in her hands. This is insane. I'm nobody. I'm just a waitress with a sick kid. Why is this man destroying my life? Luca sat beside her, careful not to sit too close. Because he knows it hurts me. Maya looked up at him. Why would my pain hurt you? Luca was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. Because I care about you. Both of you. Maya's heart skipped. Luca, I know it's complicated. I know this whole situation is impossible. But somewhere between that first night at the restaurant and watching you dance with me at the gala, something changed. Maya felt tears threatening. This is crazy. We barely know each other. I know you work 16-hour days to take care of your daughter. I know you put her needs before your own. Always. I know you're stronger than you think you are. Luca turned to face her fully. I know you have the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met. And I know you're dangerous. I know people are afraid of you. I know you could destroy my life with a phone call. Yes, Luca said simply. All of that's true. They sat in silence, watching Ella laugh as Alessio taught her to skip stones across the pond. What happens now? Maya asked finally. Now we end this. Vitaly wants a war? He'll get one. Maya's blood turned cold. What does that mean? It means I'm done playing games. He threatened you and Ella. That's unforgivable. Maya grabbed his arm. Luca, no. I won't be responsible for people getting hurt. You're not responsible for any of this. But, Maya. Luca covered her hand with his. This was always going to happen. Vitaly has been pushing for months. You and Ella, you're not the cause. You're just the excuse he needed. Maya felt tears spill down her cheeks. I'm so tired of being helpless. Tired of other people controlling my life. Then help me end it. Maya looked up at him in surprise. What? Vitaly thinks you're my weakness. Let's prove him right. I don't understand. Luca's eyes were intense, focused. There's a meeting tomorrow night. Neutral ground. Vitaly and his people, me and mine. He'll expect me to come alone, try to negotiate. And instead, I'll bring you. Show him exactly how much you mean to me. Maya's heart pounded. That sounds incredibly dangerous. It is, but it's also the only way to end this without a war that could last months. Maya thought about Ella, laughing and playing like a normal 7-year-old for the first time in months. What would I have to do? Just be there. Let him see that I'll do anything to protect you. Maya was quiet for a long moment. And after? When this is over? Luca's expression became guarded. What do you want to happen after? Maya looked at him, really looked at him. This man who'd turned her life upside down, who'd also made her daughter laugh again, who carried so much pain but still tried to protect others. I don't know, she said honestly. This whole thing terrifies me. You terrify me. Why? Because I'm starting to care about you. And caring about you is dangerous for me and for Ella. Luca's face softened. Maya, don't, she said quickly. Don't say anything. Not until this is over. Not until we're all safe. Luca nodded, but Maya could see the hurt in his eyes. Mommy! Ella's voice called from across the garden. Come see, I skipped a rock 5 times. Maya wiped her eyes and forced a smile. Coming, sweetheart. As she walked toward her daughter, Maya felt Luca's eyes on her. She was making the right choice, protecting her heart. So why did it feel so wrong? That afternoon, while Ella napped, Maya found herself in Luca's office again. This time, she knocked. Come in. Luca was on the phone, but he gestured for her to sit. She listened to him speak in rapid Italian, his tone sharp and commanding. When he hung up, he looked exhausted. Everything arranged for tomorrow? Maya asked. Yes. Are you sure about this? Maya wasn't sure about anything anymore, but she nodded. What choice do I have? You always have a choice, Maya. Always. Maya stood up and walked to the window. The gardens looked peaceful in the afternoon sun. Ella was visible on the swing that Alessio had hung from an old oak tree that morning. Can I ask you something? Maya said without turning around. Anything. Do you ever think about getting out? Leaving this life behind? Luca was quiet for so long that Maya turned to look at him. He was staring at his hands, his expression thoughtful. Every day, he said finally. Especially since the accident. Why don't you? It's not that simple. There are people who depend on me. Families whose livelihoods come from the businesses I protect. You can't just walk away from that kind of responsibility. Maya came back and sat across from him. What if you could, hypothetically? Luca looked up at her, and Maya saw something vulnerable in his expression. Are you asking for a reason? Maya's heart pounded. Was she asking for a reason? Maybe. Then hypothetically, Luca said carefully, I'd want to go somewhere quiet, somewhere safe, maybe have a family again, with the right person. With the right person. They stared at each other across the desk, the air thick with unspoken possibilities. Luca, Maya started. I know, he said quietly. After tomorrow, when this is over. Maya nodded and stood to leave. At the door, she turned back. For what it's worth, I think you'd be a good father, and the right woman would be lucky to have you. Before Luca could respond, Maya left, her heart racing. She was playing with fire, and she knew it. But for the first time in years, she felt truly alive. The next evening, Maya stood in front of the mirror in her room, adjusting the simple black dress Teresa had chosen for her. It was elegant, but not flashy. The kind of dress that said she belonged at Luca's side without drawing too much attention. Her hands shook as she put on the pearl necklace Luca had given her that morning. For courage, he'd said simply. A soft knock at her door made her turn. Come in. Ella peeked around the door, already in her pajamas. Mommy? You look pretty. Maya knelt down and pulled her daughter into a hug. Thank you, sweetheart. Are you scared about tonight? Maya's throat tightened. Sometimes Ella's perceptiveness was startling. A little bit, Maya admitted. But Mr. Luca will keep us safe. I know, Ella said with complete confidence. He promised me. Maya's heart clenched. When did he promise you that? This morning when we fed the fish. He said bad men sometimes try to hurt good people, but he won't let anyone hurt us. Ever. Maya felt tears threaten. Do you believe him? Ella nodded solemnly. He has sad eyes like you used to have, but he smiles when he looks at us. People who smile at kids don't let them get hurt. Maya marveled at her daughter's wisdom. You're very smart, you know that? Mr. Luca says I'm smart like my mommy. Mr. Luca talks about me? All the time, Ella said matter-of-factly. He asks me what makes you happy and what makes you sad. I think he wants to make you smile more. Maya's heart fluttered. What did you tell him? That you smile when I'm safe and happy, and that you used to smile all the time before Daddy left. Maya hugged Ella tighter. Well, I've been doing a lot more smiling because of Mr. Luca. Maya pulled back to look at her daughter. Would that be okay with you? Ella considered this serious. I like him, and he likes us. And he makes really good pancakes. Maya laughed despite her nerves. Those are excellent qualifications. Mommy? Yes? Are you going to marry Mr. Luca? Maya nearly choked. Sweetheart, we barely know each other. But you like him. I can tell. Maya sighed. It's complicated, baby. Why? Because grown-up feelings are messy sometimes. Ella nodded like this made perfect sense. Will you tell him I said goodnight? Of course. After tucking Ella in bed, Maya made her way downstairs. Luca was waiting in the foyer, looking devastatingly handsome in a dark suit. When he saw her, his breath caught. You look beautiful, he said softly. Thank you. Alessio appeared from the living room, also dressed in a suit. Car's ready, boss. Luca nodded, then turned back to Maya. Are you ready for this? Maya thought about Ella upstairs, sleeping safely in her fairy tale bedroom, about the future they could have if this worked. Yes, she said firmly. Let's end this. The restaurant where they were meeting was different from the one where Maya had first encountered Luca. This one was older, dimly lit, with the kind of atmosphere that suggested secrets and shadows. Maya could feel eyes on them as they walked to a private dining room in the back. Luca kept his hand on the small of her back, a gesture that was both protective and possessive. Vitali was already there, seated at a round table with two men Maya didn't recognize. He smiled coldly as they entered. Romano, and the lovely Maya. How nice to see you again. Luca pulled out Maya's chair before sitting beside her. Alessio positioned himself near the door. Vitali, Luca said calmly. You wanted to talk. Talk. Straight to business. I like that. Vitali's eyes shifted to Maya. Tell me, my dear, are you enjoying your stay at Romano's estate? Maya felt Luca tense beside her, but she kept her voice steady. It's very comfortable, thank you. I'm sure it is. though I imagine it must be difficult. Being away from your normal life, your job, your home. Maya's jaw tightened. Temporary inconveniences. Vitaly laughed. Inconveniences. Yes, I suppose that's one way to put it. Luca leaned forward slightly. What do you want, Vitaly? What I've always wanted. The docks. And now, perhaps, a little compensation for the trouble you've caused me. The docks aren't for sale. Everything is for sale, Romano. It's just a matter of price. Vitaly's gaze moved to Maya again, and she felt sick. I'm not for sale, Maya said quietly but firmly. Oh, my dear, everyone is for sale. Some people just cost more than others. Luca's hand moved to Maya's knee under the table, a warning to stay calm. The docks stay with me, Luca said. Find another way to expand your operation. Vitaly's expression hardened. I don't think you understand your position here, Romano. You've gone soft, sentimental. That makes you weak. Does it? Playing house with a waitress and her bastard daughter? Yes. I'd say that makes you very weak indeed. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Luca's entire body went rigid, and Maya could practically feel the danger radiating from him. Choose your next words very carefully, Luca said, his voice deadly quiet. Vitaly smiled. Or what? You'll start a war over some woman you barely know? Maya looked at Luca and saw something that made her breath catch. Love. Real, deep, fierce love. It was written all over his face as he looked at her. Yes, Luca said simply. I would. The honesty in his voice, the complete certainty, made Maya's heart race. Vitaly's smile faded. You're making a mistake, Romano. No, Maya said, finding her voice. You are. Everyone at the table looked at her. Maya felt her cheeks burn, but she continued. You think caring about someone makes him weak, but you're wrong. It makes him stronger. It gives him something worth fighting for. Maya turned to look at Luca, and he's not the only one who's found something worth fighting for. Luca's eyes widened slightly. Maya reached over and took his hand, threading their fingers together. The answer is no, Maya said, looking directly at Vitaly. The docks aren't for sale. Neither am I. And if you threaten my daughter again, you'll discover exactly how dangerous love can make someone. The room was silent for a long moment. Then Vitaly started laughing. Magnificent, he said, clapping slowly. Absolutely magnificent. I can see why you're so taken with her, Romano. Vitaly stood up. Very well. You want to play the family man? Let's see how well you protect your new family when the wolves come calling. Is that a threat? Luca asked, rising to his feet. It's a promise. Vitaly and his men left without another word. Maya sat there, her heart pounding, until Alessio spoke from the doorway. Well, that could have gone worse. Luca turned to Maya, his expression intense. Are you okay? Maya nodded, though she was shaking. Did we just make everything worse? No, Luca said firmly. We just made our position clear. What happens now? Luca helped her to her feet. Now we go home, and we prepare. For what? Luca's jaw was tight. War. The ride back to the estate was tense and quiet. Maya stared out the window, replaying the evening in her head. Had she done the right thing? Or had she just painted an even bigger target on all their backs? Maya, Luca said as they pulled through the gates. What you said in there. I meant it, Maya interrupted. All of it. Luca stopped walking and turned to face her. In the moonlight, his expression was vulnerable, almost boyish. Even the part about having something worth fighting for? Maya's heart pounded. This was it. The moment where she either stepped forward into this complicated, dangerous life or stepped back into safety. She thought about Ella, sleeping peacefully upstairs, about the laughter that had filled this house for the past few days, about the way Luca looked at her daughter like she was precious, especially that part. Maya whispered. Luca's face transformed. Hope, joy, love. It all blazed in his dark eyes. He stepped closer, his hands coming up to frame her face. Maya, he said softly, I love you. I know it's crazy, I know it's too fast, but Maya silenced him by rising up on her toes and pressing her lips to his. The kiss was soft, sweet, full of promise and possibility. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. I love you too, Maya whispered. God help me, but I do. Luca rested his forehead against hers. We can make this work. I'll keep you safe, both of you. I know you will. They stood there in the moonlight, holding each other, both knowing that everything was about to change. Luca? Maya said eventually. When this is over, when we're all safe, ask me again, about the future. Luca pulled back to look at her. And what will you say? Maya smiled, the first truly free smile she'd felt in months. Ask me and find out. Luca kissed her again, deeper this time, full of love and promise and hope. Above them, a light flickered on in Ella's window. Maya looked up to see her daughter's small face peering out, smiling down at them. Ella gave them a little wave, then disappeared back into her room. She approves, Maya said, laughing. Smart kid, Luca said, pulling Maya close again. Takes after her mother. As they walked into the house together, Maya felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Complete and utter peace. Whatever came next, whatever challenges they faced, they'd face them together. For the first time since her world had fallen apart, Maya Brooks was home. Maya woke to the sound of laughter coming from the kitchen. Again, it had become her favorite sound in the world. She padded downstairs to find Luca and Ella making pancakes, just like that first morning. But now it felt different. Natural. Right. Good morning, beautiful, Luca said, kissing her cheek as she entered the kitchen. Morning, Maya murmured, accepting a cup of coffee gratefully. Mommy, look! Ella held up a perfectly round pancake. I made this one all by myself. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Maya still marveled at the change in her daughter. Ella chattered constantly now, laughed easily, had made friends at her new school. The selective mutism was a thing of the past. How did the meeting go last night? Maya asked Luca quietly. Good. Vitali's been neutralized. His operation is finished. Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders. It was finally, truly over. 3 months ago, Vitali had made good on his threat and sent men after them. But Luca had been ready. The confrontation had been swift and decisive. No one had been seriously hurt, but Vitali's power base had crumbled overnight. Since then, Luca had been slowly transitioning out of the more dangerous aspects of his business. It was a delicate process, but he was determined to build a safer life for his new family. So, it's really over? Maya asked. It's really over. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. What happens now? Luca set down his coffee cup and reached into his pocket. Maya's heart stopped when she saw the small velvet box. Now, Luca said, dropping to one knee right there in the kitchen, I ask you the question I've been wanting to ask for months. Ella squealed with excitement and clapped her hands. Maya Brooks, Luca said, his voice warm with love. Will you marry me? Will you and Ella be my family, officially and forever? Maya looked down at this man who'd turned her world upside down, then put it back together better than before. This man who loved her daughter like his own, who'd fought to keep them safe, who made pancakes shaped like butterflies just to hear Ella laugh. Yes, Maya said, tears streaming down her face. Yes, yes, yes. Luca slipped the ring onto her finger, a simple, elegant diamond that caught the morning light beautifully. Then he stood and kissed her, deep and long and full of promise. Yay! Ella cheered. Does this mean Mr. Luca is going to be my daddy now? Maya and Luca broke apart, both looking at the little girl who'd brought them together in the first place. Would you like that? Luca asked gently. Ella pretended to think about it seriously. Well, you make really good pancakes. And you're nice to Mommy. And you gave me the best bedroom ever. Those are excellent qualifications, Luca said solemnly. And you promised you'd always keep us safe, Ella continued. And you never break your promises. Never, Luca agreed. Ella grinned. Then yes, I'd like that very much. Luca scooped Ella up in a giant hug, spinning her around the kitchen while she giggled. Maya watched them, her heart so full of love she thought it might burst. I love you both so much, Luca said, setting Ella down and pulling Maya into the embrace. We love you too, Maya said. Forever and ever? Ella asked. Forever and ever, Maya and Luca said together. Outside, the sun was shining, birds were singing, and the world was full of possibility. Maya had learned that sometimes the most beautiful love stories began in the darkest places. Sometimes you had to lose everything to find what you really needed. And sometimes, just sometimes, broken people could heal each other and build something stronger than either could manage alone. Maya Brooks had found her home at last. Not in a place, but in the arms of a man who loved her completely, and in the laughter of a little girl who finally felt safe enough to trust again. It was, Maya thought as she watched her fiancé teach her daughter how to flip pancakes, the perfect beginning to their forever.